Hello everyone. I'm excited to show off some new features and improvements to the UI of my game World of Whid. One change I've made is to make everything resized to look better on phone screens, as this game is primarily aimed at Android users. So for the first time, I'm going to be creating this video and showing off the game from my phone. Once I get in, you'll be able to see that everything fits pretty cleanly on the phone and looks good, and it's easy for me to read all these different pieces of text and to tap on the different fields that I want to interact with. The next change I made to the UI is that these buttons like login and create account, and this is true of all the UI in the game, are no longer clickable unless potentially valid input has been provided in all the required fields. So right now, I don't have anything provided for email or password, so there's no way that this is a correct login, so I cannot click the button. If I start putting in an email, it's now going to tell me exactly what fields are still required. In this case, the email that I've provided is not a valid email address. It can tell that without an @ sign and a dot, there's no way that this is an actual email. So if I go in here and I add in the @ sign and another character, and then the dot, and then another character, this is now potentially a valid email. Obviously, to a human, it's clear it's not, but that's all I'm looking for this, is just to confirm that it's from a sort of a programmatic perspective, that is potentially a valid email. The next thing it's gonna tell me is that my password isn't long enough. That's the only requirement on passwords so far, is that they have to be long enough. In the future, I will probably add more requirements, but for now, this is good. So if I hit OK, now that I have a valid email and password, I can actually click the login button. If I try, it's going to find that that is not a valid email and password combo from the database, and it's going to give me an error. And it's going to disable the button again, because until I change something, that can't possibly be valid. So if I make a change, then the button becomes clickable again. The other thing that I've added to this screen is the Remember Me button. This is now clickable, and if I leave it checked, it will save this information upon a successful login. It will save this information to my device, and the next time I open it up, it will autofill the username and password in for me. If I create an account, which is what I want to show off next, the same thing is true with the button being disabled until I fill in proper input. And I'm going to create an account for an email I just created, which I will potentially use down the road as a support type email for this game. But for the moment, it's just going to be used for this demo. So I'm going to call it admin in case I do use it for other things. And this has now got valid email, password, and username, so I can create an account. Previously, when I hit create account there, it would take me right into the logged in screen where I can see my characters and create new characters and enter the world. But I've now added email verification to this, so instead it takes me here and waits for me to provide the code that I was given in an email. And so if I go to my email, you'll see there's this very nice email here which provides the code and a little bit of information so you know why you've been sent the email. If I come back here and I put that in, say I change it, if I take away the 3 at the end and I try and verify, it's going to tell me that's not correct. The code will also expire after 30 minutes, and if I try and verify after it's expired, it's going to create a new code and send that to me and tell me here that this code is expired and a new email has been sent. There are a whole bunch of other scenarios that I had to consider, and I do believe I've considered all of them, but I'm not going to go through them all on this video, as that would take a very long time. If I verify now, it is going to successfully verify my account, and I am on to where I would have been previously with automatically pulling up create a character, because I have no characters yet. So I'm I'm for sure going to want to create my first character. If I do close this, I can get back to here, but without any character created, I can't enter the world. And as with all the other UIs, the button is disabled now until a valid character has been provided. So if I go in here and I create a character, then this is all more or less the same, other than that, as with all the other UI, I can't create the character till all the fields are filled in, and it provides me information about what I'm still missing. The other thing I changed is to make the pet name optional, and if you do not provide it, it just auto-fills it in with a standard name, which would be monkey for the monkey, dog for the dog, and fox for the fox. Very creative. If you put in your own name, it'll save that instead, and eventually when I get to the point of being able to actually use your pets more, that name will be visible. I'm going to pick a creature, and now as soon as I've filled in all of the valid input, this becomes clickable, and I can create my character, and into the world I go. This stuff is all, I believe, pretty much the same as the last video I did, except for that some of you may not have seen that there is now a text chat, but I have a separate video that goes into showing that off, so I'm not going to show that off here. Now, if I exit this, and I come back in, because I had Remember Me set up, it has now remembered my email account and password. If I do forget password, it's similar setup to the email verification, where I get sent an email and I get prompted to fill in the code that I was sent. If I were to just close this and try and log in, it's going to log in just fine. So you can't block somebody else. You can't, hit forget password on a bunch of other people's emails and block them from getting in. They'll still be able to log in just fine if this code hasn't been provided to sort of complete the transaction. And again, there's going to be a whole bunch of other scenarios that I have had to consider, and I'm just gonna let you guys trust me in that I have considered all the possibilities, or at least most of them, because going through them all on here would take way too long. If I do provide a correct code, then it brings me to this prompt where I can actually fill in a new password. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to put in something different. Like everything else, I can't reset until I have valid input. And in this case, part of that is to have two passwords that match. So now that those two match and are valid, I can reset the password. And I see a little message telling me here that the password has been reset. If I now try and log in with what was already auto-filled from before, it's going to fail because I've now modified my password. So I have to go in here and add the one that I just added, and now I can log in. Another thing that I changed since the last time I did a video is that it actually remembers which character you signed in with last and automatically selects them. And so now I can enter world with this character. Even if I create more characters and I have, say, 4 characters, it'll always remember whichever one I was using last and automatically select that one when you first log in, but then you can switch between them from there. And if I enter the world, there I am again. So that's all I wanted to show off here. Thanks for watching, and I will try and have more content and more features provided soon. Have a great day, everyone.